Just going to see if my mic is working, because I realized just before this started that I didn't have the right mic with me. So I'm just going to check my levels, because that's what we do when we do a live stream. We check our levels. So it won't be a moment while I do that. I didn't have the right mic with me, so I'm just going to check my levels, because that looks like we're all good there. Excellent. So I can start this now. I can start this properly now. So pretend I didn't do that. I will get used to doing these things, I promise. So, hi, I'm Andrew Horn. Welcome to Planet Hex. This is your weekly bonus episode on my channel, which I like to talk about a lot of VHS culture, a lot of VHS tape collecting, cult movies, music, games, the writing life, a bunch of other things like that. So, on this episode, I'm just going to talk about some VHS collecting culture that's been going on around the web lately. I have been talking about it a lot, but I did appear on TV on This Morning talking about VHS over at the 80s video store, 80s video shop over in Alfreton with my buddy Rob Lane and my new friends Lucy and Chris. And the place has been getting so much attention. I'm really, really pleased about this. So as well as This Morning, and previously it was all over the papers and stuff like that, that was really cool as well. The shop has been getting attention from more and more places online. So there's the story here. Whoops, turn that around. So there's the story here over on MSN, no less. So there's Rob. Marvelous person. So yeah, 1980s videotape shop still thriving with visitors from abroad. This is from 2 weeks ago, but this is another example of it just getting further and further out there and more known. Speaking of which, the 80s video shop, and yep, Rob showed up on this, not on This Morning, sorry, BBC Sounds over on Arcticus Radio Derby, and the clip from it where Rob is interviewed at the 80s video shop is there over on BBC Sounds app. So after this stream is finished, I'll go and put the link to that underneath down in the description. I can't do it live, can I? That would be very, unprofessional, like, checking your levels. But once you've actually already gone live, I think that's always classed as not being particularly professional. But yeah, it's really cool to see Rob doing this stuff and getting all this attention. Much love to Chris as well. Chris hasn't shown up in these. I think he was in the background on ITV, on the Central News. They showed up again on TV. Awesome. I mean, why not? Speaking of which, if you haven't seen yet the This Morning piece that we were on, that is here on ITVX. In the This Morning articles, could your old VHS tapes be worth a fortune? Possibly not the ones they spoke about on the channel at the time, but so this was a really cool piece, and this saves you having to look through the entire 2.5 hour recording of the entire show, because the clip is right here on ITVX. That's itv.com, and that's under the This Morning article. So go to the This Morning page, you should be able to find it there. I don't know how long that's going to be up, so if you want to see it, go check it out. Unless it's up for forever, that would be awesome. So that's a bit of major VHS culture going on for the UK. Is this being shared? I've just noticed, you can see my books there on the bookcases. Why am I pointing? You can't see what I'm pointing at. On the bookcases between it, next to the Turtles game, you can see both volumes of VHS in my brain. So I'm always pleased about that. So in the VHS news that I've found, there is remastered VHS footage of a 1991 fish show at Arrowhead Ranch. Now, I'm not like a fan of fish, not that fish anyway. I like fish with an F. I always liked him. Kaylee. No, don't sing, Andrew. That's a bad idea. But I love the fact that these. This is a great example of what I've said many times before about VHS recordings being historical artifacts and things that will that capture things as they were at a specific point in time. These are just perfect, just bare raw recordings of things. I mean, like, recordings of just people's family footage, family holiday videos, that sort of thing, where you can see people milling about in the background, or deliveries happening, or people meeting, or people partying, or restaurants and businesses and things like that. It's fascinating, real historical document. And for something like this, the show of the Brown Fish, it gets you a treasure if you are a fan of the band, if you've been a fan of the band and you want to revisit a great era for that band, or you just want to revisit a different era altogether. I've had weird experiences with this myself because, like on YouTube, there are recordings of gigs I was at myself, such as the Def Leppard show at Don Valley Stadium in 1993, or the Donington '96 Monsters of Rock Festival, co-headlined by Ozzy Osbourne and Kiss. Because I was there, and that's a really strange thing to see these things that I'm somewhere in that crowd. I don't know if I'm visible. I'm there with my dad. If I am, just give us a wave if you ever see those things. But it's always cool to see those. Hey, Midnight Vampire. Hello, my friend. What a marvelous person he is. I've spent a lot of time with Midnight Vampire over the years, and what a cool person to hang out with. One of the most genuine people you can meet. So if you ever need a proper friend, you look for someone like that. So this is it's really cool to see these people uploading stuff that is, digitizing stuff that has been captured of these old moments. Even if you found something like just someone's birthday party, or a family meal together, you've captured something from that era. You're watching Smile 2, so I'll be lurking. Nice choice, mate. So what I've also found, the next one I found that I was going to bring up this week to be aware of, if you want to go and check these out, please do go and do so. Artifact Records opens in Logan Square with rare vinyl, VHS, and cassette tapes. Now, this sounds marvelous, but this is Chicago. So yeah, this was in February. I have missed this story before, but this is a place in Chicago that's opened that it sounds like paradise to me. Just physical media. There you go. You've got tapes, you've got vinyl, there's VHS and stuff like that there. So here you go. There's a good example. Music lover Jonathan Rackstang considers each record in his collection to be an artifact, a man-made object with cultural or historical significance, and I agree entirely. Even if something is trash, even if it's a cheap movie, or a cheap tape or an album from someone you've never heard of, it is a historical physical artifact that cannot be done away with by an algorithm. And I saw a video on this recently. I should link to that as well. There's a video on YouTube talking about the connection with physical media, and the guy that did it, I must find this and mention this on the next video. The guy that did it was talking about how holding that item, holding that physical copy of something, takes you back to the moment that you got it, the moment you bought it or found it or were given it. It was a birthday present, a present from a partner. It takes you back to that era, and that feeling and that sort of autobiographical edge to it is just something else. He mentions in that video, you don't really hear people saying, come on, let's see your streaming collection, let's see your playlists, let's see your MP3 collection. But a VHS, tape, vinyl, or CD collection, that is something tangible that you can hold on to, and you can hold on to something that directly links you to that previous era, and that's just marvelous. And the fact that this place is opened, it reminds me greatly of a cleaner, tidier version of Championship Vinyl from High Fidelity, my favorite movie of all time. There's a reel-to-reel as well, check that out. Oh, how can I get to Chicago? Well, let's see what tapes he's got here. Can I zoom in on these and we'll have a look here? Okay, there's some music tapes. I see AC/DC. I see some Aerosmith. More Aerosmith. Alice in Chains. Anthrax. Oh, they got NFV from Anthrax. Nice video. Yep. Badlands. Quality. Of course, there'd be some Beatles. Cheap Trick. Cinderella. Damn Yankees. Sorry, Nugent. Def Leppard, Historia, 2 copies of Historia, Deep Purple, Dio, Dokken. This is my sort of place. There's even a couple of copies of Hard and Heavy at the end there, the old metal video magazine. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to visit this place at some point. How do I get to Chicago? Is there a bus from Nottingham? I don't know. That is awesome though. The next one I found here. This is an event, and I've mentioned things like this before, that when I will share stuff about events that go on, even though I can't get to them, I think they should be, they should be shown, they should be shared with people, so you can see what's going on and how people are enjoying this stuff and still sharing these things. So we've got here Night VHS Tracking presents Phenomena 1985 with Sean Morris. Of course, he had Jennifer Connelly in it. Around the time she did Labyrinth, was it before? I think it was either just before, around about the same time she did Labyrinth. So yeah, this is a film club showing Phenomena. I can't help but do that. If you've not seen Phenomena, do check it out. I think it was also put out as a Creepers. It was also put out as Creepers, wasn't it? Don't watch it if you are a fan of chimpanzees, because there's a chimpanzee acting in it. But it's an interesting film, a weird, supernatural movie with Sarah from Labyrinth in it. So, but it just excites me that these things are going on all over the world. This is Australia. I know about stuff going on in the UK. I know about it going on in the US and various other places, but it's nice to see that it is global. This niche interest of ours isn't quite as niche as we may think it is. The next one I found here that I was going to bring up for your awareness is, again, on MSM. And this is 24 nostalgic VHS tapes from iconic and forgotten 90s movies. See, this is a nice trigger for nostalgia for people that are just discovering the scene or just wanting to look up what stuff they used to watch. But is anything really forgotten? So let's go have a look at these pictures here. We've got Time Cop, Van Damme Time Cop, very much of its time, still worth a watch, even just for Van Damme's mullet. And there's a little dude there with Batman on VHS. There's the Alien set there. Fair enough. An advert, yay! There's the Alien set with the various tapes in and little bits of memorabilia as well. Time Cop again. Short Time. I don't remember Short Time. Was that a Chris Farley movie? No, it wasn't. If you've seen that, let me know in the comments below, because I haven't seen that one, I don't believe. Class of 1999. I've just been. My son was going through some of my horror magazines earlier, and there was a Class of 1999 poster there from Gore Zone. God love Gore Zone, and he was asking me about that, and I explained the premise of Class of 1999 before with the cyborg teachers and so on. It was just a cool moment, cool thing to share with him. What else have we got in this list? Staying after school could be deadly, followed immediately by the Rugrats movie. I liked Rugrats as a teenager. I thought it was a well-made cartoon. I fully admit I watched Rugrats all the time when I was probably too old for it, but it was a really good show. Really well thought out, well planned show, and it was fun to watch. And as you age, you discover that the parents were bang on in that about parenthood kind of sucking. Not parenthood, adulthood. Parenthood's brilliant. What am I talking about? But it's cool to see that these things. It's interesting to me that these things are now seen as a retro item, and it was I think I was 21 when that came out, something like that. So it's interesting to me to see that people see these things as retro now as well. There's the dude again. What else have we got here? Muppet Christmas Carol. Yeah, bona fide classic. That's lovely. The first Ninja Turtles movie. That's awesome. No wonder he's pleased. That was a big deal at the time. Still a big deal now to many of us. Certainly is to me. God, I hate these. We have to scroll through everything. Titanic. Fantasia. Yeah, I get a lot of families would have shared that and enjoyed that together. Whether they wanted to or not. Akira, yeah, it's a mass market sell-through one, but that is a classic. I clearly remember the era of anime really hitting the UK and becoming a much more large-scale phenomenon. There was comics and magazines out in the UK, and there was the manga label putting videos out, and that was a lot of people's entry level, that was introduction to Japanese stuff, and that was just a really cool period. I remember walking around my Akira t-shirt on and so on. There's the back of it with some of the great artwork from that movie, classic. But as Tim Bisley said, you got to see it on the big screen. If not, just sit close to the TV. Indian in the Cupboard. Vague memories of that. Not one I think that really took hold here in the UK. Titanic again. The Star Wars trilogy, pre George Lucas faffing about with it. NTSC copy of Batman Returns. That was a great film. It was a bit too dark. It was a bit too Batman, a bit too Tim Burton. But because of all that, that made it more exciting to me. I thought that was really cool. What else have we got in this list? Come on, show me something that gets the nostalgia going. Mars Attacks, perfection. You can't go wrong there. Dark Crystal, masterpiece. Terminator, the first Terminator. Now, unpopular opinion, but I do entirely prefer the first Terminator. It is my favorite of the series. It is the nice, bleak, dark, dystopian sci-fi movie, and you can't go wrong with that. I really love that first one. The theme tune, I still play a theme tune. It's on my car playlist, and just Brad Friedel's theme tune to that is just glorious. Immortal Kombat, nicely done. So there's a bit of 90s for you, where a low budget martial arts action film, by the look of it, starring Roddy Piper, former wrestler, and Sonny Chiba. Immortal Kombat, clearly trying to get people to notice it at the height of the fame of Mortal Kombat itself. Interesting titles. I might have to go and have a look at Immortal Kombat to see if they get any finish him moments in it. So this one here, this is on CBS. This is from this month, on the 7th of April. Idaho video store owner creates personalized movie section for longtime customer with Down syndrome. This is lovely. I love the idea that a place would create something for a beloved customer. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Do go and check this piece out. It's a video piece. I can't play the whole thing on there. There is some images and stuff there. So the last remaining video store in Pocatello, Idaho. The curtains have closed after more than 30 years, but the owner found a way to keep a crucial service going for its most loyal customer. A lady with Down syndrome, who's mostly non-verbal, has rented a movie from the video stop every day for the last 20 years. And that's just lovely. That is beautiful. So a section has been created for her where she can come and hire those movies that she loves that clearly mean a lot to her. That is a beautiful example of something that is really missing now. That community aspect of video rental stores and physical media shops is such an important part of people's lives, and I think that is really missing now. We are missing something from our communities because we don't have these stores where we can gather and discuss things and make friends, and where staff can make friends with customers and really make a difference to people's lives. That is really, really special. So do check that out. That's on cbsnews.com. Now, the next one I found is a story about a Coventry grad opening Killer Video in Akron as a love letter to 80s video rental stores. So this is over on beaconjournal.com. And out of high school, Jonathan Carmichael worked on movie sets in Hollywood, all the while he picked up collectibles and memories from his past, and now he's opened Killer Video. It looks a little sparse to me at the start, but it just looks cool. I would want to hang out there, absolutely. I think I'm just used to the 80s video shop being so full of stuff, but this looks so awesome, and I would hang out there in a minute. And I want his hoodie. What we got here? So there's like prints and stuff. Of course, there's Funkos, because there's Funkos bloody everywhere. I see some Killer Clown stuff there, so I'm very happy with that. I see an Alien Queen toy there. Some Pennywise stuff. But what's caught my eye is the dude's Killer Video hoodie. I think I need one of those in my life at some point. He's dressed as me. Do we all look the same? Do we all look the same? Are we all just middle-aged white guys wearing caps to hide the fact that we're bald? I hope not, because that would be really boring. But I would go there in a second. So that's over on beaconjournal.com and tells you all about Killer Video. Absolutely awesome. Something I did want to mention that I've not picked up yet is the Trick or Treat Blu-ray. Finally, Trick or Treat has got a decent edition out, and this has been doing really great business. It's one of those things where it slipped my mind to get it, and I feel kind of bad about that because this is one of my favorite things in the world. As you know from reading the VHS Ain't My Brain books or watching this channel, I adore this film. Probably a little bit too much, to be honest, but it is a really, really cool looking set. I think the like super duper editions have now sold out, but I'm sure there'll be a normal one somewhere. So there's Eddie and Sammy Kerr, and there's a really strong review of it. To be honest, it is a good review of the film. But then it goes onto the disc, talking about how it's a really quality print of it, talking about the extras, and they even go as far as checking out, literally how it works. So I need to get one of these. I may have to treat myself to this and just sit down and watch it until my eyes bleed, or until Sammy Kerr bursts out of the TV, informs me you should be loyal to your heroes, and carries on that way. Hey, Ads Plays Games. Hey, dude. You all right, buddy? So I must check that one out. I must check that one out. Because so far I've got it on VHS. I've seen it on DVD, and the DVD one is abysmal. My VHS copy is holding up after about a million years, but the DVD was just offensive. It was so bad. So finally, on this stream for tonight, I'm going to take you through some of the VHS podcasts. It's something I've not really mentioned on here. I do my own podcast, of course, which I'm sure many of you are aware. That's VHS Ain't My Brain. It is over on Spotify and Audible and other places you can hear stuff. But if you just do a search over on Spotify for VHS podcast, there's a lot here. Apart from this gardening one, which kind of didn't stick out very well. So there's Brain Rot, there's VHS Strikes Back, there's Analog Jones, The Temple of Film, there's Video Archives. That's the one with Tarantino on it. So if you like that sort of thing, I don't personally. I'm not a fan of his. But there's Bad Taste Videos, VHS Showdown, VHS Abyss. Of course, the Straight to Video, which you would love, which is a great show. It's a VHS horror show. There's loads to go at here that again shows how far this stuff stretched and what an influence it had on popular culture, and that is really to be commended. And I'm really glad that these people are out there doing the same thing I'm doing. It's just awesome, and I'm appreciating the synthwave style stuff on like via VHS. And the VHS Strikes Back and Analog Jones. I love a bit of synthwave aesthetic. I mean, how can you not? But do go and check these things out. Do go and find them there. These things are out there to be enjoyed. There's stuff on TV, on the various streaming apps. There's stuff on physical media. There's stuff to listen to on Spotify and things like that. And there's always stuff to read, like Lunch Meat and so on. Check those out. And there is a good zine scene around there. I need to cover that at some point too. But it's just really cool to see these things are about there and happening. And I'm so pleased that each week I get to talk about stuff that I found online that is still going on here and now, showing how vital this scene is. Ads Plays Games says I need to rewatch Leprechaun because of you. I saw you looking at it in one of your vids. Yeah, go for it, man. You can't beat it. The first one is just glorious trash. By the second one, they realized what they got there was trash and just kind of leaned into it. But the first one is trash, but isn't quite so self-aware. And for who it stars, got to be said, it is an entertaining movie. I must enjoy that. Again. I think I might join you in rewatching that again, to be honest. So thank you for joining me this evening for this bonus episode, this bonus live stream from Planet Hex itself. That's what I call my place, and it is my podcast, and not my podcast, my channel and whatnot. If you've ever wondered why, it's because I had the nickname Mr. Hex, which I still use on stage when I play guitar with Jan Doyle Band. And I got that name from a DJ friend of mine, Josephine, who pointed out I always wore an X-Men badge on a big black trench coat I used to wear at the goth clubs. And she started calling me drunkenly one night Mr. Hex, and it just stuck. And that was about 22 years ago. So that's where it came from. So yeah, I'm going to go and watch some movies. I might go and see if I've got a copy of Leprechaun nearby, actually. I think Ads has got a good idea there. So thank you ever so much for that. Thank you for joining me tonight for this episode of Planet Hex. And now I've got to try and hold the smile, the smile I do at the end of videos while I end the stream.